Hello. We're often asked what are the most popular questions that come up at interview for entrance exams. I'm Katie Craze.
And I'm Lorraine Yarderberg, and we work at JK Educate. Katie, isn't there a difference though between the independent sector and the state sector?
Absolutely there is, and it's important to clarify this. The state selectives or the grammar schools don't do interviews, whereas it's the private sector which do the interviews. And I think a really important thing to note is why do they do interviews? And when I've spoken to many of the admissions team and the head teachers of these schools, what they say is when they do interviews, they are looking for a child that they would want to teach. They're looking for a child that they would want in their class. And one of the bits of advice that we always give to our children is we very much want them to be themselves. But we do want them to be the most positive version of themselves, and we also want them to be the most well-behaved version of themselves that they can be. But I think it's important for them to understand why are they being interviewed, and it's also important ahead of time to give them an opportunity to understand the process so that when they go in there, they are fully confident that it doesn't matter what questions come up. What matters is that they can show themselves in the best possible light. But the two really important questions that do tend to come up very, very regularly are, why do you want to come to my school? And tell me about your hobbies. Now, both of these are slightly trick questions because when asked, why do you want to come to my school? What the schools are looking for is an indication that it's your child that wants to go there, not that you as parents want them to go there. So our advice is always make sure your child has done their homework. If you're able to suggest to your child that they either talk about, I've done my homework, I've found out about your school by looking it up on the website, by looking at your prospectus, or even better if you've had a chance to actually visit the school and say that you've looked at the school, you've been there on a school visit on an open day and you really like it. And then your child goes into giving explanations on why they like it. What is it about the school?
Yeah.
Is it the learning environment? Was it the sports department? Was it the grounds? Is it that they know people who've gone to the school previously? There are lots of reasons that they can give, but it's very important to have a reason. The other question, which is a common one that comes up, is tell me about your hobbies. Now with that, what they're looking for is to find out that their child is active and that they'll be able to contribute to the life of the school. So if a child is sporty, then that's what they need to say. If your child is into music, then that's another thing that they can say. But it's very important to put the detail in. And that's what we always like to practice with the children. The answers must be from them, but it must be as detailed as they possibly can be. So for example, if it's a child who likes to read, rather than just say, one of my hobbies is reading, what they can say is, I really enjoy reading. My favourite genre is adventure. And then they can actually talk about their favourite authors. If they're very musical, they can be specific and talk about which musical instruments they play, how many times a week they practice, how many times a week they have lessons, and whether they're a member of orchestra or whether they're actually performing at a particular grade. The more detail they can put in, the better. Same with sports. Are they a member of any team? Do they play for their team at school? Do they play for a team outside of school? How regularly do they play? And are they competitive? All of that will help very much. It's also important to be positive. Lorraine, what advice would we give to the children so that they can be positive in an interview?
I think it's really important that when the school asks questions about if there was something you would change about your current school, what would it be? That they put it in a positive way, the child, that they don't go out and say, oh, I don't really like the teachers, or they haven't got very good sports grounds, but turn it the other way and say, I would like to be able to learn French, but unfortunately my school doesn't do French at the moment. So that would be an improvement. Or I really love football, but we don't have very good grounds, so it'd be great to be at a school that's got really good football grounds. That way of doing it.
They don't want to see a moaning child. They don't want to see a negative child. They want a child that sees a lot of positives, but want more of something. So more languages to learn, more open space so that they can do football. The other thing is that children are very not used to talking about themselves. And so it's very good to give them practice about describing themselves and always being as positive as they possibly can. Often we find that the children are very good at saying, I'm not very good at this, or I'm not very good at that. And we don't want to hear that in an interview.
No.
We want to hear about all the things they can do, not all the things they can do.
Yeah, so good preparation ahead of time is making those lists and really understanding themselves what they're good at. And, you know, like all people, children are not very good at acknowledging that. So going through the preparation process really helps children to understand what they're good at and what to talk about in the interview.
Absolutely. So in conclusion, what we're saying is it's very good to prepare, but it's extremely important that the answers come from your child. And we want them to be themselves, but be the best version of themselves they can be. Thank you very much for listening, and we do hope that this has been helpful.